Hello, I've been asked to do some tutorials on embroidery basics. So today I'm going to go over loading some designs into your machine. I do want to remind you all though that you should always check out your operation manual. They have a pretty good section in here. They're going to give you a tutorial on loading threads, selecting designs, patterns, etc. So check out your operation guide. It is actually pretty helpful. One other thing too, just talking about threads, did you all know that there's a little line on the bottom of most spools that you can pull the thread in to take care of your thread tails to keep them from hanging out? Some of your spools might have actually a little thing down there that you can pull the thread through for taking care of your tails or keep them from dragging. I'm also a fan of your pre-wound bobbins, in particular the Magnaglides. They've got a little magnet in there. They spin much easier. If you buy these in bulk in boxes of 100, they're only about 40 or 50 cents a piece. You can also buy your needles in bulk and they're only 40 or 50 cents a piece as well. So let's go on over and we're going to go ahead and pull up a design. I've already got my threads on my machine. Now, if I wanted to load my own design or do some text, I can add, select the pattern that I've liked. They usually give you some different fonts to choose from. And so you can do, and then you can go to lowercase if you want here. So you can add whatever designs you want. They've got numbers, some different things, usually some different sizes. I'm in large. We can go to a medium size. So there are some different settings there where you can add some text. And then I could set this and then add another row or move it around and add some more. But let's go ahead and return and get rid of that. And what I'm going to go on is so this is the emblem for pulling it up off of the stick. I've already got my stick here in the machine. Now, I recommend not putting too many designs on your stick. You can put hundreds of designs on there, but then you have to go through dozens of tabs. Because there's only, a dozen or so designs on one tab, and then you'll have to go to the next tab and the next tab. And so if you have 100 designs, it's a lot of tabs to go through. Also, these are not good permanent storage. These are subject to failure. They do get corrupted. Do not use these as the only place to store your designs. Actually, if your computer or web service you've got someplace on the cloud is actually the best place to store them. External hard drives fail. A lot of those media can fail. So I really think the cloud is the best place to store your embroidery designs for long term. But you do want to have the ones you're using on your stick. So I'm going to pull up the design I'm using. Now, because I'm stitching this, so that's the one I want, so I'm going to click Set. And because I'm stitching this on the corner of a napkin, and I don't want to have all of the napkin hanging down the back getting caught in there, I've just got the small corner there, I need to rotate it. So there's a rotate button, and I'm going to hit 90 and 90 again to turn them all the way around. And then I'm going to hit Close. Now, one of the other things that you can do is you can go in here, if multi-needle, this isn't so much for single needles, but you can change the colors if you wanted to change up some of the colors, and or you can add stops so that if you were doing, say, a design which had applique, where you need to pause to trim the fabric, etc., you can put the little hands in there to stop it as you're stitching, and you can change the colors to make certain runs all the same or whatever. So we've got all of that. We're going to go ahead and hit Edit End. And now, some of your older machines don't have this, but most of your newer machines, if you notice, I've got that cute little red dot pointing down in the center. It's a little laser light. And if you don't have that, one of the things you can do is simply pull the thread down and kind of hold it down and see where it falls to. But that, if you look, is nice right on the center. If I needed to move that for some reason, adjust it a little bit, you've got these little arrows here, and those allow you to move it, so you can now see it's been moved considerably. And if I want it to go back, I can just hit that, and that'll take it back to the center. And I'm going to go back and edit one more time. One of the other things you can do is you can change the size. You can stretch it or shrink it. However, it's really not advisable to change the size more than by about 10%. If you change it by more than about 10%, the stitches won't work right. The stitch fills won't be good. It can be too dense or too loose. So if you really need it changed, it's best to either do it with software or talk to the digitizer, the person you bought the design from, and see if they can help you out. So we're going to close that. I've not changed anything. Done editing. Now all I simply need to do is hit sewing, and we're ready to go. But I'm going to do one thing before I start sewing, and I really recommend you do this. Little checklist. Do my threads match? So I'm going to look up there and make sure that all my threads are in the right order. If they're not in the right order, I'm going to use my little swap button to switch which threads are where. So that was this little button here, which lets you swap the two little threads. It lets you swap the threads. So my threads are okay. My design orientation, yes, that's set right. It's very, very annoying when you stitch a t-shirt or something and you realize the text is upside down. So check your design orientation. If you need a topping, and I'm using a topping here, go ahead and make sure that's there. Check your bobbin thread. In particular, if you have a single needle, you want to make sure that you've got sufficient bobbin thread for the project, or at least the colors you're on. You don't want to run out of bobbin thread in the middle of a color on a single needle. It's very tedious to change. And also, if you're doing something like, say, freestanding lace, where you might need a matching bobbin thread or a different colored bobbin thread, that you've got the right color bobbin thread. And lastly but not leastly, if your design is dense, you may want to float a piece of stabilizer. So if it's over about 20,000 stitches, what you do is you take an extra piece of stabilizer and you lift up and you slide this right between the hoop and the base of your machine. So you just slide that in there, and then you would leave that in there, and that would provide some extra stabilizer to help make your design stitch as intended. So I don't need that for this design, so I'm going to take that out. I've got everything else set. My threads match, my design orientation, I got my topping, my bobbin thread is good. I'm going to hit the little lock button, and then my arrow is going to turn green. I'm going to hit green, and I'm going to start stitching. So that's all you need to do for setting up your design. Our design is all finished stitching, so to finish it off, we're simply going to pop it out of the hoop. And now we're going to remove our stabilizer. I have the topping on the front here, so I'm just going to pull that up gently, and it will tear away for the most part. And that's all gone. Now we're going to turn it over, and I'm going to trim my threads off the back. And then we will go ahead and remove our stabilizer. So I'm just going to grab a corner and just pull it towards the design. This is tearaway stabilizer, obviously. And just pull that, and that will come off. So once we've got all our stabilizer off, we're going to come on over, and I'm going to give it a quick pressing. So I had some little placement lines there drawn with the iron away pen, so we'll iron it quickly to get rid of all of those, and then I like to give it a little spritz since I used that wash away topping, just to make sure that any of that around the edges is gone, and we'll give it another quick pressing, and also make sure that we got rid of any hooping marks. The pressing is also good. It helps to fluff up or fix your embroidery thread a little bit. So we're all done there. So our design is finished, where you can fold up our napkin and put them on the table, and we'll be ready for, in this case, Thanksgiving. But that's all you need to do to finish off your design. I hope this presentation has been helpful. If so, please like and share and subscribe to our channel. We've got some other presentations on embroidery basics, as well as some in the hoop projects. Thanks and happy stitching!